Stop scrolling for just 1 second. I need you to imagine something terrifying. You die today, right now. What version of you gets remembered? The carefully curated Instagram stories? The LinkedIn professional facade? The perfectly angled selfies hiding your real struggles? Or the person you actually are when you're alone at 3 a.m., scrolling endlessly, feeling empty despite having thousands of followers? Here's what's haunting. Simone de Beauvoir predicted this exact nightmare in 1949, 70 years before social media even existed. She saw something coming that would be more dangerous than any war, any oppression, any external force. She saw that we would willingly imprison ourselves. But here's the question that should terrify you. When did you last feel genuinely, authentically yourself? Not performing, not curating, not optimizing for engagement. Just you. Can't remember? That's because your digital persona isn't just hiding your real self, it's systematically killing it. And Beauvoir knew exactly how this murder would happen. The woman who fought against becoming the other would be horrified to see how we've made ourselves the other to our own authentic selves. In 1949, while the world was rebuilding from war, Simone de Beauvoir was fighting a different battle, one against what she called mauvaise foi, or bad faith. She defined it as the ultimate betrayal, denying your own freedom to become what others expect you to be, living a life that isn't yours, choosing comfort over authenticity. But here's what's chilling. Beauvoir was describing our digital age with terrifying precision, decades before it existed. Think about your last Instagram post. Did you choose that photo because it represented your authentic moment? Or because you calculated it would get the most engagement? When you crafted that caption, were you expressing your genuine thoughts or performing a version of yourself that you think people want to see? Beauvoir would recognize this immediately as bad faith, but amplified to a scale she never could have imagined. We're not just lying to others, we're systematically programming ourselves to forget who we really are. She wrote, "One is not born, but rather becomes a woman." Today we could say, one is not born, but rather becomes a digital persona. And just like the social conditioning she fought against, this digital becoming is suffocating our authentic being. Every time you choose the filtered version over the real one, every time you silence your genuine voice for algorithmic approval, you're committing what Beauvoir would call existential suicide. You're choosing to exist as an object, a product optimized for consumption, rather than as a free, authentic subject. The most terrifying part? We're doing this voluntarily. We're building our own cages and calling it personal branding. Beauvoir spent her life fighting external forces that tried to define women. She never imagined we'd become so sophisticated at defining ourselves into non-existence. But why are we so willing to kill our authentic selves for digital validation? The answer lies deeper than you think. Let's dissect exactly how this murder happens. Because make no mistake, what's happening to your authentic self isn't accidental. It's systematic, methodical, and absolutely brutal. It starts innocently enough. You post a photo. Maybe it gets good engagement. Your brain releases dopamine. You think, this version of me works. So you do it again and again. Each time you refine the performance. You learn what gets likes, what gets shares, what gets you seen. But here's the sinister part. Every time you choose the performance over authenticity, you're not just hiding your real self, you're actively training yourself to forget it exists. Beauvoir understood this psychological mechanism perfectly. She called it transcendence denied. When you stop creating yourself and start merely reacting to external expectations, your digital persona becomes a parasite that feeds on your authentic self until there's nothing left. Think about it. When did you last post something that truly mattered to you, regardless of how it would be received? When did you last share a genuine struggle, an unpopular opinion, or a moment of real vulnerability without calculating its brand impact? You can't remember, can you? That's because your digital persona has been systematically assassinating those impulses. Every authentic thought gets filtered through the question, but how will this look online? And if you've made it this far into this video, you're already proving something powerful. You're hungry for truth over performance. Hit that like button if this is resonating. And subscribe because we're about to go even deeper into how this digital prison was built around us. The most devastating part isn't what you're posting. It's what you're not posting. All those genuine moments, real thoughts, authentic experiences that don't make it online because they don't fit your curated image. Those moments don't just disappear, they take pieces of your soul with them. Your persona isn't just hiding you, it's consuming you. Beauvoir knew that seeking external validation was a form of slavery. She wrote about women who lived their entire lives seeking approval from men, from society, from anyone except themselves. But she never could have imagined we'd create a machine that delivers validation hits directly to our nervous system. 24 hours a day. Your smartphone isn't just a device, it's a dopamine dealer. And your digital persona? It's your addiction. Every notification is a hit. Every like is a fix. Every comment feeds the craving. But here's what makes this the most dangerous drug ever created. Unlike cocaine or alcohol, this addiction is socially celebrated. We call it building your brand, growing your influence, or staying connected. But let's be brutally honest about what's really happening. When was the last time you posted something and didn't check how it performed? When did you last go a full day without wondering what people thought about your latest update? When did you stop measuring your worth by your metrics? You can't, can you? Because you're not just using social media, it's using you. Beauvoir would recognize this pattern immediately. She spent her life studying how external validation systems keep people trapped in inauthentic lives. But even she couldn't have predicted we'd carry our own validation machines in our pockets, checking them an average of 96 times per day. The cruelest part? The validation never satisfies. 1,000 likes today means you need 2,000 tomorrow. A viral post this week means next week's content feels like failure. You're not building confidence, you're building tolerance. And like any addiction, you need bigger and bigger hits to feel normal. Meanwhile, your authentic self, the one that doesn't need external approval to know its worth, is starving to death. Every time you choose the dopamine hit over genuine self-expression, you're feeding the addiction and starving your soul. But here's what Beauvoir understood that we've forgotten. True freedom comes from the terrifying, exhilarating moment when you stop needing anyone else's permission to be yourself. The question is, are you ready to go through withdrawal? Here's the most twisted irony of our digital age. We're more connected than any generation in human history, yet we're dying of loneliness. You have 500 Facebook friends, 2,000 Instagram followers, hundreds of LinkedIn connections. But how many of them actually know you? The real you. Not your highlight reel, not your professional facade, not your carefully curated stories. You. Beauvoir would understand this paradox perfectly. She wrote extensively about how we become objects for others, existing primarily to be seen, judged, consumed. But she never imagined we'd voluntarily transform ourselves into content, optimized for mass consumption 24/7. Think about your last deep conversation. Was it face-to-face or was it through a screen? When someone asks, "How are you?" do you give them your real answer or your social media answer? When did you last share something that truly mattered to you without first considering how it would perform? The brutal truth is this: your digital persona isn't just hiding you from others, it's hiding you from yourself. You've become so skilled at performing connection that you've forgotten how to actually connect. Beauvoir called this alienation, becoming estranged from your own authentic experience. But our version is more sophisticated. We're not just alienated from ourselves, we're alienated from the very concept of authentic relationship. Your followers don't know you're struggling with anxiety because that doesn't fit your positive vibes brand. Your friends don't know you're questioning your life choices because that might seem unprofessional. Your family doesn't know you're lonely because your posts show you're always living your best life. So you end up surrounded by people who only know your performance, while your real self sits in isolation, wondering why all these connections feel so empty. The most heartbreaking part? Somewhere out there are people who would love your authentic self, flaws, struggles, contradictions, and all. But they'll never find you because you're too busy being someone else. Stop for a moment. I need you to do something that might hurt. Think about the last genuinely beautiful moment you experienced. Maybe it was a sunset, a conversation with a friend, a quiet moment of peace. Now be honest. What was your first instinct? To experience it fully or to capture it for your story? If you felt that uncomfortable recognition, write "awakening" in the comments below, because recognizing this pattern is the first step toward freedom. And if you've made it this far in this video, you're already showing incredible courage. You're choosing uncomfortable truth over comfortable illusion. Here's what Beauvoir would want you to understand. While you've been building your digital persona, your actual life has been happening in the background, largely unnoticed and unexperienced. You're not just missing moments, you're missing the capacity to have moments. Your brain has been rewired to see experiences as content opportunities rather than, well, experiences. That beautiful sunset becomes a photo op. That meaningful conversation becomes a potential quote for your feed. That moment of genuine joy gets interrupted by the compulsion to share it. But here's the devastating part. The moments that don't make it online, the quiet ones, the imperfect ones, the deeply personal ones, those are often where your real life lives. And you're training yourself to dismiss them as not worth sharing, which your subconscious translates as not worth experiencing. Beauvoir wrote about immanence, being trapped in the immediate surface-level experience without accessing deeper meaning. Sound familiar? You're living in digital immanence, skimming across the surface of your own life, never diving deep enough to discover who you actually are beneath the performance. Think about your relationships. How many of your conversations now revolve around content you've seen online, rather than thoughts you've actually had? How often do you find yourself experiencing life through the lens of, how will I share this, instead of, how does this make me feel? You're not just losing time to your digital persona. You're losing your capacity for presence, for genuine emotion, for authentic connection with your own experience. The question isn't whether you can afford to change. The question is, can you afford not to? Here we are. The moment of truth. Everything we've discussed leads to this single, terrifying, liberating realization. You have a choice. Right now. Today. This moment. Beauvoir's most powerful words were these. You are free, therefore choose. Not you will be free when, not you could be free if. You are free. Right now. The prison you're living in? You built it, which means you can tear it down. But let me be clear about what this choice actually means. It's not about deleting your social media accounts and becoming a digital hermit. It's about something far more radical. Choosing to be authentically yourself, even when it gets fewer likes, even when it doesn't fit your brand, even when it's messy, imperfect, and real. The revolution Beauvoir envisioned wasn't fought with weapons or protests. It was fought with the simple, radical act of refusing to be anything other than authentically yourself. And that revolution starts the moment you post something real instead of something optimized. The moment you have a conversation without thinking about how to share it. The moment you experience something beautiful without reaching for your phone. Your digital persona has been promising you connection, validation, and meaning, but it's delivered isolation, addiction, and emptiness. Your real self, the one you've been suffocating, is still there, waiting. It's been waiting this whole time for you to remember that you don't need anyone's permission to exist authentically. So here's your choice. Continue feeding the persona that's killing you, or start nourishing the self that's been starving for your attention. Stop performing your life and start living it. Stop curating your experiences and start having them. Stop optimizing yourself for others and start being yourself for you. The world doesn't need another perfect digital persona. It needs your messy, complicated, beautifully imperfect real self. The self that struggles, that questions, that feels deeply and thinks independently. Beauvoir fought for women's right to define themselves. Now it's your turn to fight for your right to be yourself. Your real life is waiting. Go live it.